In September 2012, the famous gaming publisher Konami offered a project for Hideo Kojima, and without much hesitation, Hideo accepted the offer. The project was the 9th installment of the popular horror series Silent Hill, and Hideo Kojima was supposed to be the director of the game along with the Mexican filmmaker Del Toro. The game was planned to be exclusive to the PlayStation 4 under the name Silent Hills, and developed by Hideo Kojima's production company. The project was officially revealed to the public in a unique way. Instead of doing it through a normal trailer or by showcasing gameplay, it was announced through PT, which is short for a playable teaser. In August 2014, a free demo of the game became available on the PlayStation Store, and people ran to dive into its world. And it was something special that they had never experienced in a horror game before. There are no monsters, no zombies, and no visible direct threats. But still, there's pure horror. The demo lasted a few months in the store, and then it was removed once and for all. Konami and Kojima started getting into some sort of feud, and the development went downhill until the shocking announcement in April 2015. Konami declared the cancellation of the entire project forever, a decision that caused not only rage from the fans and journalists, but also consequences for the whole industry for years to come. The cancellation actually made it even more popular, but beside its popularity, it also became a source of inspiration. So the real question is, what was PT about, and why did it feel so unique and insanely terrifying? The first aspect that stood out was the setting. Everything takes place in a casual-looking house where you wake up in its basement. Once you open the door, you find yourself in a relatively long hallway that doesn't seem dangerous in any way. You explore the place a little bit and see the photos on the tables until you reach the only door that you can open on the other side, which leads you to the same hallway again. You keep walking, trying to interact with anything until you reach the door at the end again, which takes you to, yes, you guessed it, the same freaking hallway again. At this point, you understand that you're in a claustrophobic prison that constricts your breath and chills your bones. You can't leave the house, and you can't explore the rooms or the second floor, which means that whatever horror you'll face, it will be in this uncanny hallway. After walking through the hallway over and over, you'll notice that the atmosphere will get more and more nightmarish. The unsettling repetition of the loop, traversing the same hallway only to find subtle changes that hint at a deeper, unseen horror, is a masterclass in building tension. You can feel that you're not alone in the house, and you know that something might happen at any second, yet you don't see it with your eyes. Sound also plays a crucial role, with dripping water, distant noise, and radio static weaving a symphony of unease. No jump scares are needed. The environment itself is a constant whisper of terror, keeping you perpetually on edge. What makes things even scarier here is that you basically don't know what you're even doing in this place. The narrative is shrouded in deliberate ambiguity, and the player steps into the shoes of an unnamed character, thrust into a looping nightmare with no context or purpose. However, there are clues scattered throughout the environment, including a radio announcer mentioning a missing family and the sound of a baby crying in the bathroom. They indicate a theme of tragedy and despair, but the full picture remains out of reach. This lack of explanation fuels the horror. inviting you to fill in the blanks with your own fears and anxieties. The game slowly becomes a reflection of the player's psyche, with their darkest insecurities lurking in the shadows. And this is what Kojima relied on to scare you. PT's true brilliance lies in its ability to manipulate your psychology. The repetition of the loop makes you feel helpless because no matter what you do, you're stuck in a disturbing cycle. The environmental changes are also designed to confuse you. Flickering lights or missing photographs leave you constantly questioning what might be lurking around the corner. All of this keeps you scared of something you don't see until you finally see the thing you wish you didn't see. After the time you spend getting tormented mentally, you can finally see her right in front of you, standing still with no emotions. You have no idea who she is or what she wants, and once you get yourself together to approach her, she mysteriously vanishes. You can actually see her early in the playthrough, but I wanted to build the tension and get you in the mood for this moment. From this point, your suspicion becomes confirmed because you're now officially aware that you're not alone, and whatever is with you is definitely not human. The photos on the tables show a man and a woman, most likely a married couple, but we don't get to know who they really are. However, even though the radio broadcast might seem random and irrelevant at first, it's actually trying to tell you something very sinister and disturbing. You can hear stuff about guns and a crime until you finally start listening carefully and understand that it's talking about a murder that has been committed. We hear the broadcaster talking about a wife and her 2 children who were killed by none other than their father. He mentions that the father went to his car's trunk, got his rifle, and fatally shot his wife, who was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch. Upon hearing the disturbance, the father also shot his 10-year-old son when he came to inquire. His 6-year-old daughter was smart enough to take refuge in the bathroom, but he succeeded in tricking her by telling her that everything is a game. Unfortunately, the poor little girl was also shot in the chest at close range. The mother was shot in the right eye, but sadly, she was also pregnant at the time and sustained a gunshot wound to the stomach. When the police arrived after the neighbor's 911 calls, the father was found in his car, listening to the radio.
The day of the crime, the father went to the trunk of his car, retrieved the rifle, and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch. When his 10-year-old son came to investigate the commotion, the father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was just a game. The girl was found shot once in the chest from point-blank range. The mother, who he shot in the stomach, was pregnant at the time. Police arriving on scene after neighbors called 911 found the father in his car, listening to the radio.
The broadcaster also mentions that in the days leading up to the tragic events, neighbors reported hearing the father loudly reciting a sequence of numbers, resembling the chanting of a bizarre spell. The radio also mentions that last month, another family fell victim to a fatal shooting in the same state. Additionally, in December of the previous year, a man used a rifle and a meat cleaver to perpetrate the tragic murder of his entire family. The radio states that it's interesting that in both instances, the culprits were fathers. It's obvious that there's something messed up with the guys in the area, and the homicides are not random. State police assert that this series of domestic homicides seems disconnected, yet it might be indicative of a broader trend, potentially influenced by factors like employment, childcare, and other social challenges impacting ordinary families.
State police say this string of domestic homicides appears unrelated, though it could be part of a larger...
But after a while, the radio literally starts interacting with you directly in a way that makes no sense. It says weird statements like, "Don't touch that dial now. We're just getting started. You can't trust the tap water," and even mentions a code of multiple numbers. When you reach the fridge loop, the radio starts talking about how the father put an end to his life after killing his family. But in the red hallway loop, the radio replays the most chilling and creepy message of all. It says, "I've got a message for all you folks down there in Radio Land. Now's the time for action. Our society is rotten to its core. I'm talking to all the fine upstanding folks who got their welfare cut and their jobs pulled out of under them." Then it continues by saying, "Yeah, you know what to do. Now's the time. Do it." I wish he said it in that funny way, but you get the point.
Our society is rotten to the core. I'm talking to all the fine, upstanding folks got their welfare cut, got their jobs pulled out from under us. You know what to do. Now's the time. Do it.
As you heard, whatever he told us to do, it wasn't cheerful at all. But once you think the game can't get any more unsettling, it gets weirder. During the other loop, the radio starts talking in Swedish, and if you don't understand Swedish, you die in real life after 10 seconds. Jokes aside, the radio actually talks in Swedish.
Vad hör din röst? Kan du höra din egen själs skrik? Låt oss välja. Min röst som förtäljer framtiden eller dina plågade. Nå, vad väljer du? Du kan välja.
The translation says, "Close your eyes. Let your ears listen to the radio. Do you hear my voice? Can you hear your own soul scream? Let us choose. My voice tells the future, or you are tortured. Well, what do you choose? You can choose. Your life is your future. As wise as you are, you might already have discovered it. Yes, the radio drama from 75 years ago was true. They are here on our Earth, and they monitor and see everything. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust the police. They are already controlled by them. That's the way it has been for 75 years now. Only our best. You have a right to become one of us. So, welcome to our world. Very soon, the gates to a new dimension will open. 204863, 204863. I have no idea what the heck I was just saying, and we will probably never know either. We also don't get to figure out the real purpose of the numbers, and this leaves room for unlimited theories that blow up your curiosity. However, eventually it becomes obvious why the radio is talking to you and why you can hear it in the first place. The reason, my friend, is because you are the villain here. You're the one who caused the misery and tragedy in this place. You're the one behind its darkness and echoes of pain. The protagonist here is the husband himself, the killer of the entire family who used to live here. You are the brutal murderer with no remorse who killed his wife and children, and the guilt never left your head. The woman you saw earlier and who is hunting you everywhere is your wife Lisa, or to be precise, it's actually her spirit. You shot her in the right eye, and you can see that in her ghost. To be honest, we're not really sure if it's the wife, but this is the closest theory when we put the clues together. Another suggestion claims that she might be a victim of a murder that happened 75 years ago in the house. However, there's another theory that you can also learn about when you focus on the hints even deeper. It is suggested that Lisa's husband lost his job at some point, and the family started experiencing financial issues. Subsequently, she began to work in a grocery store to pay the bills and put food on the table. But the catch is that she only got the job because the store's owner was attracted to her. And when I say he was attracted to her, I don't mean her personality or her skills at work. He was attracted to her physically. In fact, the only reason she got a good salary was because he wanted to see her in a skirt. Eventually, this pervert boss had a relationship with Lisa that resulted in her pregnancy. To be clear, Lisa wasn't okay with the relationship, and she was forced against her will. Despite the tragic situation, Lisa loved her baby and was ready to welcome him into the world. But before she could do that, her husband killed her and killed the entire family. In the second loop, when Lisa stops you from entering the bathroom, it means that she doesn't want you to see her baby, which you will eventually find in the sink.
You got fired, so you drowned your sorrows in booze. She had to get a part-time job working a grocery store cash register. Only reason she could earn a wage at all is the manager liked how she looked in a skirt. You remember, right? Exactly 10 months back.
To be fair, the situation in this house is very sad and not just scary. The fact that you also can't know for sure what really happened makes you even more lost. It's obvious that the experience is not about a man walking into his haunted house. The game is basically in his mind, where all the mental torture is. He is stuck in a loop where he's compelled to witness his trauma, tragic past, and mistakes. The loop symbolizes the cyclical nature of the family's tragedy and his inescapable confinement. But despite all the clues, PT's backstory remains open to interpretation, letting your imagination fill in the blanks. Even Lisa's true identity and role in PT remain unresolved. Her presence is a combination of multiple tragedies, including domestic violence, mental illness, a financial crisis, and stolen motherhood. Lisa basically wasn't allowed to be happy and paid the price of the entire situation. Even when she was trying to support the house with her work, it turned into a nightmare, and her boss took advantage of her. However, the husband is left to deal with the results of all that happened. He is forced to encounter the spirit of his dead wife, the unborn baby that died in the incident, his alcoholism, unemployment, and also all memories of his dead children. The bathroom in the house also feels like a place where many sad events occurred. Throughout the game, it keeps making noise as if it's trying to attract your attention. Beside the distressing baby in the sink, there's also a hole in its wall, and we don't know its real purpose. Some theories say that it could potentially be alluding to the hole found in the bathroom in Silent Hill 4, or it might be a nod to the peepholes that the protagonist Henry gazes through to see the outside world or other important areas. When you look through the hole at some point, the radio starts talking about a murder that happened. In my opinion, the hole was probably caused by a gunshot during the crime, and one of the children was looking through it before getting killed. However, if you think the bizarre, unexplained stuff stops there, then you probably forgot about the bag. It appears to be an ordinary brown bag situated on the table in the starting room of the game. The bottom of the bag seems to be saturated with blood, and sometimes it is depicted as infested with cockroaches, which might mean that it's been there for a while. The weird thing is that the bag can talk, and with a scary, deep voice too. This raises the intriguing possibility that there might be a human head within the bag, roughly the size of the baby's head, which appears to be both animated and alive.
I walked. I could do nothing but walk. And then I saw me walking in front of myself. But it wasn't really me. Watch out. The gap in the door. It's a separate reality. The only me is me. Are you sure the only you is you?
We can't figure out what the real backstory behind this bag is, but we can speculate. Popular theories say that it might be related to Lisa's husband. In the course of the game, you come across a message seemingly written by the husband, expressing remorse to Lisa and saying, "Forgive me, Lisa, there's a monster inside of me." This suggests the possibility that the husband grappled with identity disorder or schizophrenia. This can be noticed when the bag says,
The only me is me. Are you sure the only you is you?
The problem with all these clues is that no matter how much we use our brains to understand their meaning, we will never know their real purpose. Our whole conclusion might be completely wrong at the end because this entire playthrough is just a small part of a game that never saw the light of day. No matter how you believe the hints are connected, they can refer to something that wasn't supposed to be shown in this short teaser. However, what no one seems to realize is that the story of this game was actually inspired by true events. Well, not really, but I'm pretty sure you can find similar stuff that happened in real life. A little bit of exploration in true crime channels, and you'll find many guys who had a mental breakdown and killed their entire family. Anyway, I also need to mention that after you complete all the loops in the playthrough and solve all the puzzles, there's a final puzzle that you need to solve when the demo restarts and goes back to the beginning. During the final cycle, your mission is to initiate 3 instances of baby giggles. Upon entering the corridor, the initial step is to patiently wait until the clock reaches midnight. Subsequently, when the bell starts ringing, you have the flexibility to trigger either of the 2 baby laughs provided, and the sequence in which you do so is entirely unrestricted. After going to the right places and triggering the baby's laughter, the telephone begins to ring. You need to approach it, zoom in, and you'll receive a message saying, "You've been chosen." The door is now unlocked, allowing you to exit and view the Silent Hills trailer.
You've been chosen.
But before you can leave the house, your screen in real life starts talking to you, telling you that you have been cursed and your home is officially haunted by the spirit of Lisa. It will also be revealed that you are the husband in the game, and you are the bad person in the entire thing. In fact, players who reached this far in the game back in 2014 have never been seen again to this day. They are imprisoned in their houses in an infinite loop, tormented by their past and wrong decisions. Okay, I'm messing around here, but I really love to make horror games feel as disturbing as possible. Anyway, as I said earlier, once the door opens, you can leave the house and view the Silent Hills trailer, which is an introduction to a game that never happened.
Dad was such a drag. Every day he'd eat the same kind of food, dress the same, sit in front of the same kind of games. Yeah, he was just that kind of guy. But guess what? I will be coming back, and I'm bringing my new toys with me.
In the end, we can see that the setting is very familiar and looks like Silent Hill, and we can also see that the protagonist is the actor Norman Reedus. This enticing sequence was supposed to mark the beginning of a game that everyone waited for, but sadly, it was the end of the whole thing. However, it was the end of the game, but not the end of its influence. Because after the cancellation of this mysterious teaser, indie developers literally went crazy and started competing on who's going to revive it by making a similar experience. After only a few months, the developer, Chris Kessler, announced a game called Allison Road, which took the internet by storm because of how chilling it looks. But ironically, it was also cancelled later on for multiple reasons, and it also became just a memory. Many other games came out in the following years, but most of them felt like identical copies or PT wannabes. But some titles stood out as absolute horror masterpieces, and one of them is Visage. It's directly inspired by PT, and it even has a protagonist tormented by his past after killing his family, but it adds some amazing creepy elements to the experience that make it unique and creative. Another surprisingly terrifying game is From the Darkness. This is one of those games that you underestimate at first, but as you delve into its world, you basically lose your mind because of its psychological pain. The atmosphere is insanely perfect for getting to your mind, and the small apartment feels like a prison that you can't wait to leave. Anyway, this is all for today's video. Tell me in the comments below what your opinion is on PT, and what games you think succeeded in using its legacy in the best way possible. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day or night, depending on your time zone.